I'm working on a 2010 Town & Country van with a 4.0. I'll be taking the upper intake off of this so I can do a spark plug change. This thing's got a pretty cover on the top of it, and it just pulls right off. It's got these rubber things on the cover. This one stayed on. If they stay on, you got to pop them off. These little 4 nubs, and put it back on the cover. I got a couple of wires here that just pull off. I'm going to take this intake tube off. I pulled this hose out of the way so I can get this intake air temperature sender off. It's got a little red connector on it. You got to push this back, and they break. That way you can push this down and pull them out. Chrysler's love child-proof connectors. They got a lot of these on here. I'm going to look at this air filter too. Actually looks pretty cruddy. This isn't super bad, but I'm doing a tune-up, so I'm going to put one on it. Got all kinds of child-proof connectors on everything. Unplug that one. There's one on this. There's one on here. I believe this is an air intake runner control. Unplug that. I'm going to leave this tube on here. There's a couple vacuum lines. There's one right here for the PCV valve. There's another one right here for the brake booster. I'm just going to wiggle it back and forth and disconnect it from the booster. There's two 13mm holding this power steering line on. You know, I can pull these out of the way. And then there's 2 more 13mm behind that. Really some kind of strange Chrysler engineering there, because they're not screwed in all the way. They're just kind of bottomed out. I don't know why they would do something like that. They look like they're in there all crooked too. I got 2 8mm bolts on this EGR that I got to take off. There's one more vacuum line right here I got to take off. And after I do that, there's like 4 or 5, I don't know, it looks like 7, 10mm. One of them stuck. Just going to turn them up like a turn or two just to keep them from falling down. Try that. Usually don't need to scrape this surface or anything. There's no real gasket that sticks to it. I'm just going to kind of get the dusty crud out of the way and wipe it down. People might tell you too that this upper intake gasket is reusable, but I'm going to get one for it. Do this just to make sure nothing falls in the intake. These are 10mm. .5 on the spark plugs. That looks really pretty. What's all that gunk? Jeez, dielectric grease. Okay, I got them all out. I'm going to go get some spark plugs for this. Good. I don't know what this is. I can kind of see something almost in there. I can almost see something through the filter, almost. All junk. Yeah, when you can barely see the sun or you can hardly see daylight through the thing, it's time for an air filter. That's a stock stuff, NGK Laser Platinums. That's what I took out of it. That's what goes in it. Always use anti-seize. You never want to touch this tip either, so don't try to gap them. They're always pre-gapped. There's a protector on there, so you don't drop the box and wreck it. If you ever see that this gap is crushed, just replace it with another one. I think it's humorous when somebody tells you to gap your iridium plug. You never touch them. These only need to be torqued to about 15 foot-pounds, 15 to 18. Basically, there's crush washers on them, and basically I just tighten them down. You just get the feel for it, and you can feel when these washers are all the way crushed. When you think they're crushed, stop. Sometimes if the threads are all boogered up or something, you got to get them a little tighter. So just using a torque wrench sometimes isn't really a good way to do stuff. It's hard to tell people to just get a feel for something too. I mean, it's just, I've done it so much. I just know what it feels like. I normally don't use dielectric grease on plugs, but it was gobbed on here, so it must have been on there for a reason. And this is the stuff I like to use. But yeah, regular dielectric grease. It's fine. I'm just going to put a little bit in here. You just coat it like that. And stick it in a hole. There's the part number for that I got. Upper plenum gasket. Yeah, the original one looked really good. It'd probably seal up just fine, but I'm not going to use it. I'm going to make sure this gasket's good and it's intact and it's there and stuff. Stick that in the hole first. There's little alignment pins. So once you got it on there, you can just rock it back and forth, and if it doesn't slide around, you know it's in there. You want to start all these by hand. Make sure they go in really nice. Generally a good practice to start in the center and work your way out. You're supposed to torque these to 105 inch-pounds. That's usually about 9 foot-pounds. I would do them by hand. I start out by getting about half torque, and then I final torque them. I actually feel more comfortable doing those by feel. Next are these goofy things. And these bolts for the EGR pipe, they're actually like a machine thread. So you don't want to just stick them in there and cross thread them, because you'll only be able to do that a couple of times before you wreck the intake or have to use a different screw. So just try to kind of get them in the threads that are already there. And that's it. Okay, bye.